And welcome into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. This one, we are sitting down and talk to you after the Boston Bruins beat the San Jose Sharks. It was a Martin Luther King matinee. The San Jose Sharks brought all of their, Razor, former Boston connection people into town and brought a fun atmosphere, I thought, to the Garden a bit. But the Bruins skate to a 6-3 victory, one that was far from easy for the Boston Bruins. We will talk about that in a moment. We will also touch on the game in Ottawa, Razor, because we haven't sat down and had a conversation post-game for a while. I think it was post-Tampa, if you go back to the 14th. So we had goalie Bob in between. That was a fun episode, but we haven't sat and talked. So we've got a lot of stuff to catch up on, all right, bud? So we're gonna get to it. First, we're gonna remind everybody that Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor brought to you by the people at Fazenda Coffee. Fazenda Coffee is located in Dedham, but they will ship anywhere in the United States. Heck, I think they've even shipped for our people in Canada at times, Razor. By the way, if you're looking at us on YouTube, I'm going to hold this up. Here's the Fazenda Coffee Morning Brew Blend. This is fantastic stuff. If you like a dark roast, anything but bitter, it is smooth. It's got great texture to it. Awesome stuff. Check out the Morning Brew Blend, or if you don't like dark roast, check out one of their other, 1,700 blends that they've got there. Go to fazendacoffee.com. And if you want morning brew stuff, fazendacoffee.com/morning brew. Wonderful stuff. Go check it out. Thank you for being our presenting sponsor. Razor, great to sit down and catch up. First of all, the most important hockey thing we got going right now. Okay. A couple of things that we got to touch on. First of all, the Boston Junior Bruins. U12s, right? U12?
Yeah, Junior Eagles.
Did I get the Junior Jesus,
that's the name. You never miss on the Junior Eagles. Yes, U12 girls.
U12 girls. What a good weekend, right?
Yeah, they had a great weekend. They had they played in the big rink in Florida, so where the Panthers play. They played in the big rink, and then they've been in the practice rink or another one all weekend. So they got to see Barkov this morning and after their game, which they lost in the semis. So unfortunately, they couldn't take on the big girls from Philadelphia, but they had a great weekend. And more importantly, my wife was in Florida for January, and we had a boys' time at home, and it all worked out. Everyone's safe and sound.
Evie scored big goal the other day. It was on Friday or Saturday. I lose track of days.
Yep, at least that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So she had a big goal, and the girls looked like they went crazy when she scored. We were like less than a minute or about a minute left in the game.
Awesome. Yes. So she got the game winner on Friday. Yeah. So she had a good weekend. And yeah, she's happy. And again, mom didn't have to yell at her for not working hard enough. So that's the real bonus, that those two are still talking to each other.
All right.
Yes,
excellent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's really the most important hockey update.
It is
important one on Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor that we have to get to, and very cool. I also like to say congratulations to Barry Peterson and the Peterson family. During the game today, Barry's daughter Tatum gave birth to Hadley Catherine Garner, 7 pounds, 14 ounces, 19 inches, already the apple of Barry Peterson's eye. And he's now I think he's calling himself Papa. So he is, I've always called him Gramps, and now he really is. But
finally made it.
Couldn't have happened to a better person, a better family. Congratulations to the Garners and to the Petersons and to everybody, and just all the best, and awesome to have you. I know he's been so excited for his first grandchild. So that's great. And I guess, and lastly, I mean, condolences to Boston Bruins family or nation and the McVie family. Tommy McVie passed away during the game, 89 years old. What a legend. Did you get a chance to ever really hang out with Tommy? I got to know him over the years. I thought he was such a dynamic, fun personality.
Yeah, he was wild. He was yeah. So I didn't, not like Dale and Brick.
Yeah.
Though he was around more for those guys. He was there kind of training camp. He was kicking around training camp, but so certainly met him, certainly had him around, certainly heard a few of his stories, and From all accounts, just all the guys that really spent time with him on buses and planes, and but that he was one of a kind.
Hilarious, very blunt, wonderfully honest. Again, I just got to know him a bit over the years. He watched everything. If he was, he lived out Western Canada, and he would come into town. I've been doing Boston Bruins telecast on NESN since the 2011-12 season. And he, I get treated me just like gold. Dear friends with Dale, dear friends. They spent time on the bus in Maine. And Brick, we did a segment in post game, and Brick was really eloquent and talked about it, what Tommy meant to him personally and professionally. He was just wonderful. He really was. He impacted a lot of guys. He'd been part of the Boston Bruins organization for a long, long time. He's a tough player when he played. He wasn't that big, but I heard he was tough. And listen, 89 years old, a wonderful life. But again, just I'm told by all accounts, by everybody that knew him well, just a wonderful guy. So our condolences to Tommy Bigfeet. All right, let's get into what we have at hand. 2 games at hand, 2 very, different, I guess, different games. And that the Boston Bruins find themselves going into Ottawa in what was an absolute, at least it felt electric, very playoff style, very intense, very passionate game that saw the Bruins go down early by 2, get back and go up, then go down, and then next thing you know, they're up by 2 late in the game, Razor, only to have 2 goalie pulled for an extra attacker goals scored, and then they end up losing in a shootout. I mean, you want to talk about riding the emotional roller coaster in that game, bud. Boy, did they start like crap. Did they start like crap the first 10 minutes of that game or so? And you, as I said, I think it was I may have been on or off. I don't remember there, but I said the first 10 minutes was like, whoa. And then the last 10 minutes of that first period was like, whoa. You know what I mean? It was unbelievable. And then you felt really good about the team, the way that they were coming and the way that they were scoring. And then you felt like crap about the team after they give up those goals in the last couple of minutes of the game.
Yeah. It's Ottawa can score, Ottawa can push. We've seen a lot of goals scored between these teams in these Ottawa games for whatever reason. The building, the timing of the games, has lent itself to craziness over the last few years. And it was certainly no different on Saturday. That they did start horribly, and they were able to pull themselves out of that by the end of the first, which was super positive.
Yeah.
Missing their top 2 defensemen, and that's the theme for me right now. It's just hanging on, and I think you see that in these a few of the defensive lapses, and certainly in the final minutes of that game, not having your 2 best guys to give you some depth. Well, let's just leave it that. Like, you have guys there, but it's addition by subtraction. It's just not. It just isn't, gang. And so that affected things at the end. What a turnover on the fourth one. Was that the fourth Ottawa
the Jensen goal? You mean the Jensen goal where he comes in? There's a couple of turnovers there, but it was a couple where and there was more than just one type thing, but it wasn't Lindholm that had the puck on his stick behind the net, and there before that the Bruins didn't get it out. I mean,
and then after that, Coyle is a 3-on-2, and some reason shoots it from where he did on the ice instead of taking it deep. Like, it was there was a lot of individual decisions that were made. Swayman shooting it instead of just handing it off or covering. Like, you can go through. And I know, the coaches did, and you could mark probably almost everyone to a man, or at least everyone who was on the ice over the last 4 minutes that did something that was just a little head scratching on the road while defending a lead, and it cost them. And then they had a decent overtime. They pushed back again, but weren't able to score. And it feels like you lost a point or gave up a point there, but again, I guess you go all the way back to their start and the fact they didn't have their top 2 defensemen. That's feels like a point. Those were points Ottawa needed more at that time, I guess, but still disappointing.
Yeah, I was disappointed though with how they started. I know they got out of it, But for that type of a game, and I know it's cliche 101, but it had playoff implications to it. And I know we're not
To those
at,
guys, it's just a game in January at 3:00, right? Like, you've been there. Like, it
I get
isn't
it.
it
I
isn't
get it.
play folks,
I mean, I
I
was going
know
to ask you that.
the media
But,
talks playoff. It isn't that for
okay,
players
but
yet.
hold,
It
but
just
but
isn't.
hold, but hold on a second. All right, hold on, Razor. You don't think, Bud, that Ottawa felt like it was more imperative that they treated it like a playoff implication type of game? Like, I think that's one of the issues the Bruins are having, is that teams are looking at the Bruins and saying, this is a different Bruins team. We're the young up and coming team more so, whether they are or not. We don't need to get into that discussion. You know what I mean? Yet, but Ottawa, Montreal, definitely Columbus, all these younger teams, they're playing with piss and vinegar, right? They are. And
Mhm.
I just wonder if that's something as well that could work against the Bruins, Razor, given how they've got a lot of guys that have been there, done that. And I think they have more of, this is a middle of January 3 p.m. game. And I'm curious your thoughts on if that's really okay for this team if their goal is to make the playoffs. Does that bode well for them? I understand, though, we're just past the halfway mark as far as gameplay go.
Yeah, I think it bodes perfectly fine for them. I think the teams that are playing piss and vinegar right now, that are young, that are scoring 5 but can't really defend and continue to give up leads, are the ones that are in trouble come March. It just usually fizzles out. You just can't keep that. You can't keep the pace, and you can have the feel good, but when it really cracks down, and the teams that really have the experience, that rises. And I think we'll see that once this break gets through. That doesn't mean you can't. You can lose points and lose 6 in a row again. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying, with your top players out right now, it's just kind of hanging in there, and there's still, again, like, we're doing the wild card thing now. It's like I'm kind of giggling, right? Like, I'm kind of giggling. There's 35 games left. Like, that's a lot of hockey, folks. I'm telling, it's a ridiculous amount of hockey. It really is. And so much is going to change.
I get it. We're seeing some teams that we thought were out of it, though, that are in it. At least right
Yeah.
now, they're in it. And we're seeing a Bruins team, as we are specifically, obviously in depth on this team. We're seeing a Bruins team that is still inconsistent. Whether they have their top 2D or not, they've still been incredibly inconsistent this year. And I
Mhm.
think that's some of the uneasiness about this team, Razor. I do. I think that's what's perhaps it's kind of like you just don't know what you're going to get at times. At least that's the way I'm feeling. I'm not going to say you. That's the
Yeah.
way I feel at
Well,
times.
no, I know. It's not what it's been. It's different. It's just
Mhm.
not. It's right. It's not a cruise to first place in January for everybody.
Right.
It's
This is the
um
norm, actually. This is more the
Kind of
norm
is. I don't
than
want,
what the
like,
other stuff is
I
happening.
know I'm always the one doing that side of it, but this really is what the league is. Like, what we've seen the last few, like, all this, and we've laughed about it. You and I have laughed about it on so many occasions. There's another guy getting his 1500th game, another guy getting his 1000th point, another guy, like, we just had celebration after celebration after celebration here the last few years. And I was saying, like, you're not going to see any more of these for a really long time here. This is changing. This isn't normal. This isn't how it usually is. And I think we're just seeing that with this group right now. And there is a ton of inconsistency. There's no question. There's no way for me to look the other way on that. I just think that because of that, I feel like they have an opportunity to rein it in at some point. And the fact that they're kind of close with all the inconsistencies, looking at it a different perspective, I guess.
It's one, yeah. I just hope that it just feels like they're playing from behind, both in game and in the standings, so to speak. And I guess let's see. We are going to have 2 trade deadlines and also 2 delineations this year, up to 4
Yeah.
nations, and then trade deadline, and then the final, around the bend type, final run of the season, which is after March 7th. I guess if the goal can't be just to make the playoffs. And I get that. And we're going to touch on what comments were made we haven't spoken about it yet on air about at the Bruins Foundation, the gala. I think that, They don't want to just make the playoffs. They want to win the Stanley Cup. But I don't know. Like, I think Charlie Jacobs, not think, he did say it. He goes, the only way you can win the Stanley Cup, though, is to make the playoffs. So to me, their goal is to make the playoffs, Razor. Now,
Yeah.
they're going to have decisions to make if they don't get themselves into a really good spot. They're going to have hard decisions to make because if they stay in this Tweenerville, right? If it's Tweener, they got to decide, are we doing anything or not? Maybe they say, we're not going to do anything because we're not going to give up any more assets for whatever. But on the other hand, we're going to push for the playoffs. I mean, that's when it's all said and done. They got to want that.
No, and you talk around the league, and that's going to be the question for almost all the teams in the East, almost all of them.
Yeah, but it's different for other teams that are hoping to elevate to rise up. The Columbus's, Detroit's, help me out here.
Montreal.
Ottawa's, Montreal. Like, to me, Montreal and Columbus, if either one of them gets in, like, holy smokes, right? Like, this is ahead of what they thought, but they'll take it because it's house money. Nobody thought that they would be there, but the Ottawas, they thought they'd be there. The Detroits, they thought they would be there. So I think those teams push chips in a little bit, maybe not as much Detroit, but I think Ottawa does if they get
I would even suggest like the guys at the top, like there isn't a clear cut either. So it's there's a great chance there's an upset in the first round in the East.
I'd agree. Yeah.
And so Washington pushes all in. Are they they really thinking that? And I don't know. I'm rhetorically asking this, and because of the two deadlines, and is it going to be an arms race like it has been in the East, or is everyone going to kind of stand pat and there's just not a lot out there? Again, it goes to the question of retooling or rebuilding. I don't remember exactly what Cam said. I didn't listen to it. Retool. So. I hear retool. I hear, okay, we made a decision on a few guys that we aren't really sure of, or we thought this was going to go one way for one of these or two of these players, and it hasn't. And now we have to retool that. When he says retool, I don't hear blow it up and get rid of everybody, or we're not going to try and make ourselves better here. We're just going to do it a little bit different than we thought we were going to.
Yeah. I could see them. I don't know if they're. I mean, no. Obviously, if they don't go on a decent run out of it, they would move a couple of players. But that's not a tear down. That's a retool.
That's a retool, right? Like that's his retool. That's what it is, gang.
Couple of other things about Ottawa. You touched on the Swayman playing of the puck, going up the middle, up one goal, not two, but up one goal. And that was intercepted. And he wasn't the only one who didn't get the puck out of the zone. But to me, that was very kind of symptomatic of like, wait a second, that's not the right headspace that you should be in. I said on the air, paraphrasing, I don't see the reason why you're going up the middle of the ice right there, trying to go for the goal. And he was going for goal, as far as I'm concerned, right there. I would have loved to have seen, I'm fine him handling the puck, but I want to see him get it out 3,000%. I understand mistakes happen, but this was an attempt at a goal. This was an attempt at a goal.
I think
and
so.
He's confident. It had to have
been. I would guess that he says he saw something else would be his answer, but I didn't study it, honestly. I didn't study it enough to know exactly where his outs were. I think he thought he had enough room, or I think he thought he was going to get it up high enough, at least to at least clear.
Yeah.
And there was certainly, it was up the middle, so it's going towards goal. So no, again, it was the wrong play. And if you're going to make that play, you got to make all the rest of the saves in the game. That's that's how that works too. And another lesson for Jeremy as the starting goalie stuff, right? If you're 1-1, then that kind of go, but now you're the guy. If you miss the playoffs at the end of the year, it's on, people will go back to plays like that when you're the starter. When you're in a rotation, there's lots for everybody to go around. This one, this is kind of those situations where you do it a little bit differently because you are the starter.
All right. The other thing I want to touch on from that game, and just want to go over it quickly, Marchand plays at the end of regulation. is on the ice. Long extended shift for a lot of guys. I don't have everybody's ice time in front of me, but they were out there extended times. Marchands, the Coils, etc. The puck goes from behind the net to the side, and eventually they work it to the middle of the ice where Josh Norris ends up getting the one-timer off. It was a pass from Claude Giroux, and from the righty was on the left side. He puts it to the middle, and it's a one-timer. It's a low, hard shot. Norris gets the goal, his second goal of the game. He can score. I don't know about defense, but he can sure score. Marchand was the weak side guy in the 6-on-5. He was on the weak side and didn't close quickly enough on Norris in the middle of the ice. He doesn't see ice in overtime, and he doesn't hit the shootout. Okay, so it comes out. We said on the air, must be something wrong. We didn't see anything wrong, but we were wrong. Okay, we were wrong. We talked about on Nesson too. So coach's decision, as Joe Sacco mentioned to the media, made it clear. Are you like, you have to make decisions as a coach? There's no question. Were you thinking about, well, here's one of your best overtime players, and if you need the point it was a strong, I think, a strong statement. Would you agree with that? That you're not just your captain, but a guy who's very effective in the overtime wasn't on the ice after the end of regulation.
Well, it's accountability, certainly, and it happens here more often than other places. A lot of other places, they've held that standard, and the players are okay with it. I didn't really think about it during the game or while the game. I didn't think about it at all, to be honest, until after. And then he didn't play. So it was. I did notice the one time where it was Poitras and Lowry, and I was like, oh, that's usually you don't see Matty, and then obviously he was taking Brad's spot. So I didn't think much of it, I guess, at the end of the day. And Brad wants to be treated like everybody else, and he'd rather he'd rather take hit a little bit more than what other guys do.
Okay. It was right away. I didn't.
And again, that goes back a little bit, right? So like, it's not full on playoff do or die mode right now for everyone. There's still a process here in place. This isn't like we needed that overtime or else our season's over. Probably would have seen Brad Marchand out there. This is still like process building and getting better and trying to put the right pieces in place for the March-April time.
And they had a chat the next day at practice, and they both addressed it, and they both were matter of fact about it. It's just, I keep using the term interesting only because I'm probably not smart enough to have another word, a synonym to, describe it. But we've had a handful of these this year, Razor, of these moments. And maybe I'm too myopic, too focused just on the Bruins stuff. It feels like we're having more of these moments this year, these little things that we just didn't have a lot. And maybe that's, to your point, just how this year's different.
That's because you're not winning 8 out of 10 games. It's just what happens in the league. When the little details get magnified in this league when you're grinding. And when you're winning 65 games a year, the Jake DeBrusk missing a meeting in LA, just it's kind of just okay because they're going to win 5 in a row. Imagine if that happened now. The exponential blow up of these little stories that are there. And if we went back and looked at turnovers and things like that you lose, right? You can turn the puck over and win. No one gets benched. No one sits out. When you turn the puck over and you lose, then someone's getting called out for, someone's missing shifts, etc. So the losing part of it is the component that's a little bit different, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, especially in the last 2 years here. I mean, that's we have recency bias towards
and anything before COVID in the world didn't actually happen because COVID came, right? Like no one even remembers that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, let's touch on our sponsors here, and then we're going to talk about the San Jose game and a couple of other things. Graciano Construction is just a phenomenal company. If you want to work with Doug Graciano and his crew on getting something done, we've done numerous projects together. I absolutely we love working with Graciano Construction because they just care. I mean, they do, and they do it with class, they do it with pride, they do it with respect, the ultimate professionalism. Check out GracianoConstruction.com or call 508-330-7589. Reach out to Doug and he'll come by. You can discuss what you're looking to do, whether it's small or big, any type of space you've got. They'll help you refresh and revitalize it. Check out GracianoConstruction.com or 508-330-7589. I said this about a week, maybe a week and a half ago or so. Even though it's cold as crap out, cold as hell out, we're actually starting to get closer and closer to that spring moving season, right? I mean,
It was bright when we got out of the building today. I was like, "Oh, this is great." It was like 4:50 and the sun's still out. I said the same thing about spring when
it's kind
time
of
to
getting
buy
there.
time to buy real estate.
That's right. And if you're looking to buy, sell, or lease a new place in Mass, Rhode Island, or New Hampshire, you got to check out RTN Realty for all your real estate needs. It's run by Chris Gentile and his staff of 16 agents and support staff. They've got you covered for whatever you're looking to do. Nothing too big or too small for RTN Realty. Chris has over 22 years and over 2,500 transactions in his career. Call Chris at 617-835-0845 or email cgentile, Gentile, at rtnrealty.com. The real estate market is ever changing. You need somebody you can trust, somebody that listens to what you want, not what they want you to do. Check out rtnrealty.com. And the last one, what is it? Apex or the Sparks? No, it's Apex in this one. It's Apex Entertainment. What about you can give me, let's do this. You got you got an Apex most entertaining moment from the San Jose game. Let's move on to the San Jose game. You got one?
Oh, Korpisalo save.
Oh,
That
man.
save sequence was fantastic. And it was it 3-3 at that point? 3-2. I've lost. It was 3-3.
It was 3
on the PK.
Yes.
Yeah. Charlie had scored already once, and then they took the penalty. And just a monster 2 saves, maybe 2.5 saves from Korpisalo. Puck gets missed. The point shot goes in behind the net. He recognizes, goes to his right, splits onto his right. Off of that save, goes right out in front, and just a monster, cool glove save on one of the local kids, Graf.
Yes.
That essentially saves the win or at least you're going to overtime at that point. I don't know I think San Jose was giving up 4 goals no matter what today, but probably not 5 in a regulation. So that was a huge save, huge turning point, and gave the guys some energy.
Apex Entertainment, located in Marlboro. You can go check out apexentertainment.com. It's 100,000 square feet of pure fun. They've got all the games you could want. They've got food and beverage here. They got bowling. Go check out Apex Entertainment. That's our Apex most entertaining moment of the game. I loved that save. Absolutely loved it. Post-game, Jonas Korpisalo, the starting goalie, the winning goalie in this game for the Bruins, said that he thought up until that, he said the goals that he allowed, he thought were pretty soft. He said, a little rusty, talked about being off, which he had been off. How long had he been off for? Do you remember? Is it 10
played
days?
One of the last 10. He played against the Islanders, the back-to-back, which was January 5th. So he'd only had like 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
But
it's a long time.
But he'd only played once in a long time. So no, this was the.
Did you think did you think the other goals that he gave up were soft? And by the way, the goals, whether it was Barclay Goodrow in the first period, Will Smith's wrist shot in the second period off of Bruins turnover, the Zetterlund goal, which, holy smoke, Zetterlund, I mean, that was not a good goal by the Bruins in general, I thought.
No, for me, it was only the Smith one that was, I don't know what he saw. He something. I couldn't. I couldn't understand that one. So that's usually, when they're not good. The other Goudreau, I don't know. He had no chance on that goal.
No, I agree.
And I would say similar on the Zetterlund, like he had nowhere to put that first rebound, but there because of
And it was
how
a
good of
2
a
against
chance.
3.
How that turned into such a good chance for Zetterlund out of nowhere, which again for a goaltender is not ideal. So he's a pro. He's very good at, it's a second language, so he's very good at just being direct with things like that.
Oh,
Like
I love his answers. I love them.
There's no extra words, and you can tell he's brutally honest with himself. So it's easy for him to say all 3 sucked.
Yeah,
But I
I
thought
agree with
only
you
one
about
did.
the Goudreau goal. Nothing he could
No
do.
way. That was
And yeah, no, I'm with you. He ripped it, and that was
he ripped it.
that was in the first. All right, let's talk San Jose game right here. Bruins taking on the San Jose Sharks in a game that featured 2 of the great young potential stars of the game on the San Jose Sharks, Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, both of them first-year players, one from BU, Celebrini, one from BC, and Will Smith. They also have a ton of other Massachusetts or Northeast connections on that San Jose Shark team, including their coach, Ryan Warsofsky, who played 2 years at Curry College. A great story, becoming a head coach of the San Jose Sharks after being assistant for a couple of years. He's the youngest coach in the NHL. What is he, 36, 37 years old? I'm told great communicator, very straight with how he wants to play forward, forward action, aggressive, etc. I'm told excellent in the meetings. And just fun to see a young guy with that. And look, he's in charge of helping get this team back on track. And I don't think they're bad. I mean, they're not great defensively. I'll tell you what, the Askarov, that goaltender handles the puck better than just about any of their defensemen. Not
Sure
just
does.
about. I think he does.
Yeah.
Maybe at times it's a little risque, but I liked his athleticism. Although I will ask you as I bounce around a little here, was his set and his athleticism perhaps a little bit too much when Charlie Coyle puts his second goal of the game and he banks it from below the goal line off the stick, and it's like I didn't feel like he was set well, Razor, on that one. This is the goal I'm talking about, folks. It happened at the 14-11 mark of the third period. Coyle makes it 4-3 when he swoops in down that right side. He goes below the goal line, and I think I know he's trying to put it to the front. I think it's a pass, but it ends up going into the net off the heel, the stick, and I think it was the right pad of Askarov, who's a lefty goalie, meaning he holds his stick in his left hand.
Yeah. He got in between by Charlie's pass out. He thought he was going to shoot initially, and then he was getting reset for the wraparound, and Charlie throws it out, and it goes off of his stick. It's just poor save selection, I guess. He probably should have just got inside his post, but he's a big athletic kid, and will learn to tone. He's trying to tighten things up. And he will continue to do so, but yeah, on that play, he's going to look and realize he did more than he needed to.
For the second game in a row, Vinny Lettieri scores a goal for the Boston Bruins. He gets the thing started for the Bruins at the 9:21 mark of the first period. A beautiful tip off the shot from Osterley, who is on the right point, a lefty, gets the puck, puts it in. It was a good cycle play by the Bruins in general. Wallstrom gets the puck back to Osterley. Osterley then shoots it. Lettieri had positioned himself well in front of the defender, doesn't allow for his stick to be picked. He presents his stick, keeps it on the ice, and then Osterley puts it into an area where the right shot, Lettieri, can turn his hands, meaning go to his backhand side, and with a gorgeous tip, makes it a 1-0 game for the Bruins. I'll give Vinny Lettieri credit. You know what? I mean, it's his 13th goal in the National Hockey League. His second as a Bruin, again, his second in as many games. I mean, look, the kid's doing what he's got to do, Razor, to stay up day by day, literally. He understands what his role is, but not that big, but he's willing to put his neck out there or put his chin behind the puck, so to speak, behind the shot. And again, this is a call-up, but he's a veteran call-up. So the maturity, I feel like you see it coming through a bit.
You do. You see a guy who's not blown away by the moment and understands getting to the middle of the ice in the National Hockey League usually leads to good things. And for him, it has the last couple. He also understands, he's waking up every day trying to stay and fighting for his life and knows he needs to put something on the board to do so. The zeros aren't going to work because he's not fighting anybody. He's not dominating anybody physically. His deal is getting points and not getting scored on defensively. So he recognizes that, and as a veteran guy, he's done a good job of that the last 3 opportunities he's had, scoring those 2 goals.
Goudreau scores at the 13-16 mark to make it a 1-1 game. Go to the second period after the shots in the first were 11 for Boston, 6 for San Jose. The Bruins did not start the game well first 5 minutes. How many times they turned the puck over? At least 4 or 5 times early on, but they got things going better in the first period. Pasternak's going to score on a power play at the 7:02 mark of the second period. A nice entry by the Bruins with speed. It ends up getting on the stick of Pavel Zacha, who kind of dashes around the net from left over to the right side. He hits Pastrnak, who couldn't have been more than 6 feet, maybe 7 feet from the net or so. But the problem is the puck had gotten a little tipped, and it was literally healed by Pastrnak, who's attempted a one-time snappish type shot, is going, again, a couple of feet wide, but it ends up hitting off the leg of at least one San Jose Shark defender and Cody Ceci and into the net. It gives Pastrnak his 22nd of the season. The Bruins get another power play goal. They're up 2-1. But then a minute and 50 seconds later, Will Smith gets the puck. You talk about that's the one goal you didn't love. Johnny Beecher and some other Bruins, but Beecher ends up being the one that ends up losing the puck just outside the blue line. It was a good reload, middle of the ice by Will Smith. He picks it up and he takes it in, and around the right side, he goes low glove. And it was interesting on the telecast, Razor, you talked about how more and more shooters, younger shooters, are going low glove now compared to high glove or low blocker. Why is that?
It's a good question. Why or where it started, I'm not quite sure, but it's just the guys have gotten so big. I think goaltender wise has gotten so big that the 6'6" guy, the with the long arms, the hole is actually lower rather than higher because shoulders get in the way and gloves are a little bit higher in stances now. So it's just a tough spot biometrically, if for fancy use of body body control. It's just hard to get your hand there. If you're catching a baseball, it's just hard to get it lower or in between rather than up high. So again, guys are ripping it. The lefty shots definitely love that spot and are finding it right above the pad. And this one was, it was low glove. It was just, it was just odd how Korpisalo got off angle more. That was just the odd thing, whether he was waiting for a pass back or he just took too long to get over there. Didn't see the pass, but certainly a good rip from Smith.
Smith's 7th goal of the season. He had at least 150, probably up to 175 people at the game between all of Boston College, a lot of people from Lexington. Good for him. I mean, literally the place was jammed with Sharks people. When they tied that game up 3-3 on the Zetterlund goal, the place was, even the first goal of the game when Goudreau scored, but the 3-3 goal, there was a lot of teal in that crowd today, Razor. I mean, that was I think as much a visiting team presence that I can remember this year, unless you remind me of something that, I mean, maybe
Leafs, but
I was going to say
Canadians,
except Toronto, but I felt like even maybe Toronto, but I don't know. This had at least it felt as much.
There's a lot there hasn't been as many San Jose jerseys since Joe got traded in the stands.
That's a good point. Yeah. All right. So then the Zetterlund goal comes at 15-18 of the second period after the Bruins had basically a dominant 2-minute power play.
Yeah, that sucked.
How good was that power play? The best part about it was the movement, the options. I mean, they complete, and it's not like San Jose's penalty kill is awful, at least statistically.
No, they've seen worse.
Right.
And done less.
Yeah, the Bruins, they were phenomenal with regard to options. They just couldn't score. And then Fabian Zetterlund ends up getting his 13th of the season. Smith with the assist at the 15-18 mark. Again, busts through 2-on-3. Defensively, guys backing up, not picking sticks. I don't know. I just didn't like any of that. Yeah. And that's the end of the second period. Anything you want to talk about that Zetterlund goal or no? Is that good?
No, it was just in between. 3 guys in between, defenseman back checking, forward on D, just not enough communication or no one took charge.
14-10 were the shots in the second. Again, the Bruins got through, but I didn't love their second period at times, but they got through. Now let's head into the third period. Bruins are going to get 2 goals with the goaltender in the net and 2 without. Charlie Coyle with both of them. And Matt Poitras, let's talk about him. Assists, primary assists on both of these goals. Poitras, Coyle, Marchand, a line that, again, it's just one game, but you got to at least, I like the feel of it. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. If anything, because it also says to Elias Lindholm, you got to go to another line. You got to get yourself reset, man. We need to get you involved. And if this means maybe less pressure, different looks, different competition, so be it. And they're saying to Poitras, you know what, kid? You've done what we've asked. Here you go. Here's another opportunity. I like it. It might be little, but I think it's a big thing too.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see when, San Jose is a perfect team to do it, right? And so you talk matchups a lot. San Jose is a perfect one to do that. Their centers are very soft and very young. So yeah, it'll be. I'm curious what it looks like the next couple of games, back to back, New Jersey, Ottawa, and with that group and on the
especially
road.
Especially Jersey on the road, yeah.
So we'll see, but no, it has a different energy, it has a different vibe, and to your point on Lindholm, you settle him in and leave him in a defensive type role. He ends up scoring tonight in his empty netter. Nonetheless, he does score, so that's positive. And yeah, it's the accountability thing too, right? Like you got to go, you got to figure this out. We can't just keep spoon feeding you this.
Right. So yeah, time to step up here. We're halfway through the season. The process, the feeling out process, whatever you want to call it, is done. We end up getting 2 short empty net goals. Marchand with 1, and as Razor, you just mentioned, Elias Lindholm with the other. Bruins end up winning 6-3. Just a couple of quick notes. Charlie Coyle, 2 goals and an assist, 4 shots on goal in the game. Elias Lindholm with a goal and an assist, and he was 6 of 9 in the faceoff circle. He's actually been under 50% a couple of times here in the last 5-7 games or so. Poitras with 2 assists, Marchand 1 goal, 1 assist, Pastrnak with 1 goal, 1 assist as well. He ended up having 13 shot attempts in this game. 6 of those were on net. So the Bruins end up winning this game 6-3. And as of this time, as we sit and record this morning brew with Jaffe and Razor, they're back in the playoff race. So everybody for a day can breathe easy for now. Although, I'm hearing from people, I don't know about you, some people are like, I just don't want them to squeak into the playoffs, like if that's what it's going to be. Anyway, that's what I'm hearing. When I say hearing from fans, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I mean, again, I get it. I don't get it, but I kind of get it, I guess, as a fan, but I get it, I guess, because of how good things have been here. But you go around the league and just ask other teams if they want their team in the playoffs, and I'm sure they would say, well, we do whatever it takes just to get in the playoffs. So I don't know. I don't subscribe to it. I know players don't. You get in the playoffs, it's Stanley Cup playoffs. It's not easy. I feel like it's just people think this is all just way too easy. I don't know if it's social media or video games or what it is, but it's like, or just the way how easy the team made it look the last few seasons. But this is not easy. Like it's really hard to score and win. And every team's good. And I certainly, if you have a chance to get in the playoffs, that's what you do. That you don't want your team not in the playoffs.
We'll have a discussion more about that. And
look at the Florida Panthers. Like literally 18 months ago, the Florida Panthers got in on the last day of the season. The last day of the regular season, they go to the so people telling me, well, if this team gets in, they're still not going to do anything, not going to make any noise. How do you know? Like, where are we coming up with that? That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me.
Well, a lot of people look at it and they say, well, yeah, but they being Florida, using them as an example, they were President's Trophy before and they didn't do anything. but they weren't the following year. As you said, they just got in.
Well, and this team has a lot of players that were on the team that's the best in the NHL history, just 2 years ago. So there's parallel. I mean, you can find parallels to it. It's just curious to me why people want this to like disintegrate as fans. I don't know why you, as a fan, you want everything to just be disintegrated.
Well, I also think that there's the element of people feel like if they say something long enough that it finally comes to fruition. The Bruins aren't that good. They're not that good. You see, I told you they weren't that good. This is how they were supposed to be a couple of years ago. And they might not end up being that good. They might be right about that, by the way.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, they could absolutely end up 13th place the way, that inconsistency.
Yeah. But people also have that. All right. I think that wraps us up. I'm sure I missed something. There was a lot of stuff for us to get to.
I know.
I know, but there's a lot. We hadn't, but again, we had goalie Bob, and that was awesome. And I hope, folks, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, it's a ton of fun. Take a listen to it. Very interesting. I learned a ton, and it was just great. It was really, very incredibly gracious of Bob and his time to sit down and chat with us for a long time. So you and I haven't had one of these sit down, talk about the games. It feels like in forever, but yeah, I know we'll have more. All right. So coming up, we are doing, right? We're going to do after Wednesday's game. Is that what we decided?
Yep.
Okay. After New Jersey, but we're not going to do one after Thursday's game. Is that correct?
No, because I'm alt casting Thursday and traveling and the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we got
a bit of a travel weekend possibly. So
right. So that was the other thing. And we're literally doing our business here on the record. Are we doing a show after the 25th against Colorado or no?
97.5%. We just don't know when we're doing or how we're doing it yet. So I might have to go to a hockey tournament Saturday after the game. So it might be later. It might be, that's the issue.
That's fine. I actually think I'm going to go to the BU-BC game on Saturday night.
There you go.
Because we've got Beanpot
coming
up. And then I got to start pretending like I know the college game more and more.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I actually BC last week, and next week I'm doing it as well. Just to get spruced
up. Oh, good.
Up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that helps. All right. I was at the BC game last week against Merrimack, I believe.
Yeah, I did. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They blew it.
I should have visited you. I had no idea you were up in the booth. I stayed downstairs. I stayed down there and hung with the common folk. It was great. All right, Ryan, thank you. RC, thanks for doing everything here. This is going to wrap this morning brew with Jaffe and Razor. And thank you to all of our sponsors. And the Bruins, they lose in the shootout to Ottawa, but then this game, they win. They're 3-0-1 in their last 4. The next time we'll talk to you is in just a couple of nights after a game in New Jersey, a team that has only 2 wins in their last 11 games. They've been riding the roller coaster up and down. A lot of offense, but they haven't been as consistent either lately. So we'll see what happens there. In the meantime, everybody, it's going to be cold. You know what you need when it's cold? You need a hot cup of coffee. Go have yourself an extra 1 or 2.